Retirement Life Coaching, and why Boomerangs?
Oh, that's a great story. We are our own best clients, actually. Both Jeff and I had worked for a very long time for companies and decided that we had had about all the fun we could stand. And so we wed in 2008. We're very distracted with wedding activities, and when all of that busy work was over, we woke up one morning and said, oh gosh, now what? And realized that we can't be the only people in our age group that are a bit lost when we stop doing what we've been doing but are way too young to quit. So given research, we found out there are many, many people in our age group who are also wondering the same thing. So we decided to move forward with the service.
We also found out that way back then, 5, 6 years ago, that the boomer generation was about to retire, and read for the first time the statistic about 10,000 boomers retiring every day starting, I think, last year, 2012. And that got us started, yeah? I mean, there's the landslide of people about to start retiring and how we might be helpful.
Right, that's right.
Regard.
The questions that they have historically asked themselves would be, do I have enough money? We're suggesting that there is a lot more to retirement than just what their financial portfolio looks like. So they will spend more time looking at their budget than they do looking at their life's purpose. And that really is the niche that we fill.
Yeah, we're not about helping people to plan or look at their finances in any way. Whatever finances people have is what we work with. We're about helping to find a purpose. That research that we were just referring to has talked an awful lot about how people retire with only very vague notions of what they'll actually do. And when they get there, find that there isn't a lot to do. The playing of golf and visiting with grandchildren and other friends is great, but it is not engaging enough to keep people sustained the way their work once did. So we're about helping to find whatever that is that can sustain you.
Right, that's exactly right. So it's very different from the historical notion and attitude about what retirement would be like.
People think of it as a bucket list too, and a bucket list is great, to have, but it's also not enough. You are only doing the items on your bucket list every once in a while. It's not engaging every single day, and that's often a real slippery slope to getting real bored, then real depressed. So we think we're helping people to get engaged on a day-to-day basis.
We often hear people say, I don't know what I did, before I retired. I don't know how I worked because I'm so busy. And it's easy to get busy confused with purposeful and meaningful activity. We call that the paradox of leisure. People might decide that they're going to golf 5, 6 days a week, and that really does keep them very busy. But what we know from research is that the more of a leisure activity you get engaged in, the less leisure it really is, because that is the routine then that replaces the routine that you had when you were working.
Golfing becomes your job.
Right.
You have to make sure you're at the golf course by a certain time, and it's almost back to the discipline of work. It can't provide the leisure that it once did because you're doing it all the time.
Right. So that also then brings up another interesting point that we've encountered, and that is, how do couples manage through retirement together? Because each person in that couple would have a different view of what retirement life should look like. And while they might talk about their financial picture, very seldom do they talk about their big hopes and dreams about what they would like their life to look like. So in working with one couple, for example, her notion was to stay in town and spend a good part of her time supporting her daughter, taking care of the grandkids. And her husband's notion was to buy an RV and travel, and they hadn't talked about that. So there were some major issues that they had to work through.
Yeah, couples make assumptions about the other one. The one partner makes an assumption that the other is very much wanting to do exactly what they want to do, and it's just not the case. So what we elicit are each person's vision and then begin to see where they overlap. And that's where there's a lot of good planning and good work with couples to see what they're both interested in, where they're going to work and be retired together and where they're going to be retired separately.
The other interesting phenomenon that we see is when they don't retire together. So you might have one person in that couple who retires and then the other person is still working. So now you have someone at home who has never been at home and the other person still working, and we find that people are really going down two very separate paths. And that leads to something other than marital bliss.